Assalamualaikum and a very good day to our lecturer, Dr. Noazira binti Ayub and our fellow friends. We are from Group 6 and will present our assignment title, Foreign Direct Investment. Our group consists of 6 members including me, myself, Hanif Imran bin Ahmad Rusdi, Muhammad Rafi Aiman bin Muzaini, Muhammad Zaid Akmal bin Zainal, Muhammad Taufik bin Kamal, Muhammad Luqman Hakim bin Muhammad Yusri, and lastly, Muhammad Haikal Hakimi bin Hairul Amir. Without further ado, let's move on to the first section, which is the introduction. And I am going to give an introduction on foreign direct investment. According to Sha'ari 2012, foreign direct investment can be defined as an international allocation of investment from an entity from a different country to a different country for the purpose of gaining more returns and profit. Other than that, FDI can also be known as a partnership in terms of knowledge and skills, transferring of technology, and also joint venture or in terms of business. The idea of FDI is to help both parties in achieving their goals, wherein the investor's perspective is to reduce the initial cost, and from the country's perspective is to help in creating employment and collecting revenue through corporate tax. The most contributed sector of FDI is the manufacturing sector, which has a revenue of 91.6 billion for the year 2020.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Haikal Hakimi bin Hairul Amir and I will present about the issue of foreign direct investment in Malaysia. The first issue that arises of the FDI in Malaysia is the issue of political corruption. This issue arises because of the bribe that was committed by the government official in handling the FDI matter. The investor will not invest to the country that having corrupt government because they have to pay to bribe to the government. This will be increasing the extra cost. Corruption is usually avoided by foreign investor because it is deemed wrong and can result in organizational inefficiency. As an investor, they decided to invest in a country because it will reduce their cost and at the same time increase their production and profit. For example, the case that are related with this issue is the case of Goldman Sachs. In this case, Goldman Sachs has paid over 1 billion in bribe to Malaysia officials in order to secure the lucrative business for Goldman Sachs. Because of this case, FDI in Malaysia withdrew about 800 million for 13 consecutive days. The second issue that arises in the FDI in Malaysia is the low technology influx by the investor. This is because the inflow of FDI is supposed to increase the innovation of technology in a country. However, it happened the other way in Malaysia when the rate of absorption of technology is limited and low due to the lack of the local expert in Malaysia. Because of the low technology influx, it will not assist the economic growth of the country to gain high economy. The foreign investor usually more emphasize on corporate interest and do not care the will of country to who need more technology influx to advance the industry in the country. The low technology influx has caused gap to the developing countries such as Malaysia to be widened with another country that already advanced in the technology. For example, the establishment of free trade zone area in Malaysia has developed the export and create job opportunities in the country. But for the technology exchange, it was not give a big contribution to the country. This is because the investor who invest in Malaysia do not see the exchange of the technology is the main purpose for them to locate their branch. The third issue that arises in FDI in Malaysia is unclear and uncertainty foreign investment policy. A country can have attractive investment characteristics such as large market size but still struggle to attract FDI due to the country's barrier that have been set up by the government. In early 2020, Malaysian government has implemented the movement control order in the country and this resulted in the declination of FDI in Malaysia. Because of that, government of Malaysia have planned a new policy to attract the FDI. The exchange of FDI policy has more or less influenced the entry of foreign investor. International investors find it difficult to develop a long-term presence in the country due to the ever-changing and short-term assistance of investment policy. As stated by the Prof. Madya Dr. Baharom Abdul Hamid, governments need to maintain political stability while still pursuing long-term investment strategies and structure. With this initiative, the FDI policy will be clear and provide convenience to all sides in economic sector. Lastly, the issue that arises in the FDI in Malaysia is the increasing of inflation rate. The investor surely will find a country with low inflation rate because the investor can maximize their profit and minimize their cost in the operation. This is because the increasing of inflation rate will not give any benefit to them to invest in the country. When this happens, it will not attract the investor to invest because the lack of economic stability will increase the risk of investor to lose their money. During the increases of inflation period, the price of service and good will increase. This situation will erode the purchasing power of the people in the country because people will not spend their money during the time. The investor in the country will be face loss as they cannot increase their production for the product. Furthermore, the cost of raw material needed for manufacturing will rise. This situation can prevent business from taking advantage of low production costs in the country and they have to increase their price of service and good. This has caused people in Malaysia do not able to buy the product and automatically affect the business profit and has an indirect effect on the return on investment of the investor.
Due to the increase of FDI issue, it has increased the number of unemployment rate in Malaysia. The number of unemployment rate in Malaysia have reduced since the FDI take part in Malaysia since 1980 to 2010. However, the issue have arisen internally, have causing the distrust from the FDI company to invest in this country. Therefore, there is many countries that have taken their step away and make the unemployment rate to increase. The example of the FDI company that have stepped out from this nation is Suzuki, JTI, Rubicon, Hyundai and Panasonic. The implication of FDI issue in Malaysia has arising the problem of decreasing of national income. FDI company are paying for their taxes, rental, sales tax and many more. Their workers, their migrant workers also paying tax such as income tax, visa for work and many more. Therefore, it contributing much in our national income. However, when the government unable to gain the trust of the FDI company, the national income decrease. FDI issue in Malaysia has arising the turnover rate of the foreign direct investment in Malaysia. This is because the problems such as the changing of the government, one MDB issue and non-transparent project given to the FDI company have increased the bad perception towards the country. They are making sure that they will not gain any loss from their investment so that they will take preventive action and take their step away from this nation. The companies such as Hyundai have taken their step away because of the instability of this nation in political and economy.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Muhammad Luqman Hakim bin Muhammad Yusri. So I will explain about the government initiative that can be taken by the government to welcome and maintain existing foreign investor in Malaysia. One of the government initiative that can be taken by the government is improve and reconstruct investment policy. Investment policy basically is a policy that set up a document prepared by the government that discuss several things related to investment policy. Important things that discussed in this policy are related to laws and regulation that encourage and discourage investors to invest in internal economy. In Malaysia perspective, Malaysia has a well-developed policy that will attract investors to invest inside the country. During pandemic outbreak, Malaysian government also take an initiative to improve investment policy by introducing a program inside a penjana. Penjana basically is a planned jana ekonomi semula that government initiate to stabilize the economy, and the program related to investment inside the penjana is Malaysia has a attractive horizon for investment program that encourage foreign investor to come and invest in the Malaysia. Secondly, one of the government initiative that can be taken by the government to welcome and maintain foreign investor in Malaysia is government can open more free industrial area. Industrial area is a location that outside the principal custom area, and at the same time it also away from airport and port. Basically, establishment of free industrial zone, it will give advantage to foreign investor because government impose different tax rates, and also it remove high tariff on that area. The place of free industrial zone are almost free from control of Royal Custom Malaysia. In addition, free industrial zone is away or far from casual area. That means is the infrastructure and facility of the industry will prevent from environment costs. As an example, government introduced first free industrial zone in Malaysia at Pulau Pinang, Bayan Lepas Pulau Pinang on 1972, and this place become a biggest turning point that show the bigger industrialization at Penang as well as Malaysia.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Akmal bin Zainal, and I will be explaining about the suggestion and recommendation. The first point is improve the quality of infrastructure. Infrastructure means the structure and facilities such as buildings, roads and good communication systems, which is important for a country to attract the foreign direct investor. Malaysia need to develop their facilities such as transportation system, which can connect the urban and rural area to avoid huge gap. And it is also to attract the investors to invest in our country, because it will ease their mobility from one place to another. For example, Singapore is well known as the transportation hub for Europe and other Asia countries. It is also important for transportation facilities that to be developed as to ensure the trade activities will running smoothly, especially for import and export, which highly reliable towards the air transportation. And the government need to have a structured planning towards the infrastructure that can ease the people to improve their standard of living. Second point is increase the amount of educated workforces. It is important for a country to provide a better education facilities in order to produce a lot of education workers. Having an education will make the investors to be attracted in investing in the country, as they can easily employ the local citizen who have the qualification towards the job provided. Education workforces will reduce the burden of foreign direct investment in terms of developing the task, because the workers already known on their role, as they can be easily adapt to the situation, and they are possessing the essential skills in delivering the task. And communication barrier also will be lower, as there are a lot of educated workforces that will ease the investor in delivering the task. For example, the investor may use the international language to communicate with the workers, and the educated workers will be easily understand on the task given, and also will avoid the miscommunication to be occur.
Assalamualaikum, I'm Rafiq, and I will explain the next two recommendations to boost FDI in Malaysia. The next recommendation is excellent financial practices by the government. The factors can be related, as the investor do not want to stay in the underperformance situation of controlling money. The investor will tend to have the bad perception, as for the government to not control the flow of the money in that particular country. According to TAN 2021, the pandemic effect seen blocking the industries and make the graph of the FDI to be decreased by 68% in the year of 2020, which cost 10.1 billion. According to Downs, one method to prove that investment towards FDI is government's reporting. The report is function to be transparency to the company, especially for the investor understand on the expenses used. Other than that, by lowering any taxes that depending the investor also will create more chances. It helps to boost the development and transparency and avoid bad perception as our country having more loss against profits gained on the development project. The last recommendation is the government can improve the quality of the good the technology and ICT. It is because most of the company observed have convert their facilities and technologies used in their production of goods into the modern types. The competitive is not even closely and how they provide the quantity and the quality of its goods and service, but it depends the technology used to gain more customer relationship or investor to firm in their company. According to Tarvin Gill 2020, the idea was so good come from the farmer in Penang that used drone to harvest at the paddy field. It was so much more efficient and effective to grow rice productivity. It is defined in this section that foreign investor would be attracted to invest in Malaysia. Then, more application has evolved their operation and businesses into online platform which is emphasized towards the production. When there is efficiency and effectiveness between the customer and the seller, it will enhance the positivity impact towards the economy. Thus, the government play the sufficient role to improve the technology of ICT in firming into the company in Malaysia to boost the number of investors in Malaysia.
As a conclusion, this presentation can conclude that foreign direct investment is an important factor towards the Malaysian economic growth. This is due to the nation's status as a developing country which make the state rely more on FDI and investors from outside. Malaysia have rich of natural resources that the country should be used to attract foreign investors. Due to COVID-19, there are many foreign companies that was forced to shut down that gives an impact on the national income as most of Malaysia's revenue relies on taxation. In order to combat this problem, the government should give more incentive towards the foreign investors so that they are attracted to invest in our country.